Your ID is moving into your phone. Will that free you or follow you everywhere? You've seen the prompts. Verify your identity and biometric selfies. Digital IDs are the invisible plumbing of modern apps and airports. They promise speed, open accounts in minutes, skip lines at checkpoints, and stronger security when done right. But the same tools can link lives across services and create new control points. In this video, we'll unpack what digital IDs actually are, why governments rush them, and which designs protect you versus which trap you, starting with what a digital ID really is. Think of a digital ID as an identity toolkit you carry. It holds facts, your name, birth date, photo, and verified claims like licensed driver or over 18. 3 players make this work: an issuer who vouches for a claim, a holder who stores it in a wallet, and a verifier who checks it. That simple triangle determines control, risk, and privacy. But the way systems connect those players changes everything, and that's where design choices matter most. There are 3 main architectures to know. Centralized systems store identities in one big database. Federated systems let big providers act as middlemen, like sign-in with services. Decentralized or self-sovereign identity keeps credentials in your control, often in a phone wallet. Each model trades convenience, privacy, and resilience differently. Which one a government or company picks shapes whether your ID becomes a useful key or a single point of failure, and we'll see why next. Verifiable credentials are digitally signed claims. Think of them like tamper-proof digital certificates from an issuer. Decentralized identifiers, or DIDs, are unique addresses that don't need a central registry. Together, they enable selective disclosure, showing only the attribute required, like age, not your full birth date. Zero-knowledge proofs add a layer. They let you prove a fact without revealing the underlying data. These tools can protect privacy, if implemented with care, and the details matter. So who's pushing these systems and why? Governments and companies push digital IDs for practical reasons. Fraud prevention, faster onboarding for services, and cross-border trust top the list. Digital IDs can unlock banking, social benefits, and travel without stacks of paper. They also promise to include the 850 million people worldwide who lack formal ID. But incentives differ. Governments seek service delivery and control. Businesses chase smoother conversions. Those incentives shape architecture and policy, and that's where trade-offs appear. Starting with benefits worth tracking. When done right, digital IDs deliver quick wins. You can open an account, prove eligibility, or get benefits in minutes. Strong proofing reduces phishing and synthetic identity fraud. Pairing digital IDs with passkeys can reduce passwords and reset headaches. Properly designed verifiable credentials minimize data sharing. You reveal only what a verifier needs. That lowers the number of servers holding your personal data, shrinking the attack surface. But the very same strengths can become liabilities if systems centralize control. Now the darker side. Central databases become magnets for attackers and for mission drift. A single compromise can leak names, addresses, and biometrics. Even without breaches, function creep can link IDs to services beyond the original purpose, tracking commutes, purchases, or protests. Proprietary systems can lock users into vendors and hide auditing. And optional systems often become de facto mandatory when businesses and agencies depend on them. Those risks hinge on governance choices, which we'll examine through real-world cases next. Estonia pioneered national eID with high adoption and smooth public services. A 2017 vulnerability showed resilience matters. The response was transparent and built trust. India's Aadhaar reached over 1 billion people and enabled direct transfers, but scope creep sparked major privacy debates and legal limits. The EU's EUDI wallet aims for selective disclosure across borders, but oversight bodies demand stronger safeguards. Each example shows that governance, not technology, determines whether digital IDs empower or endanger citizens. Comparing the 3 architectures clarifies trade-offs. Centralized systems are easier to enforce, but create single points of failure. Federated systems are convenient, but concentrate power in a few tech providers, letting them track activity across services. Decentralized self-sovereign identity offers stronger privacy and selective disclosure, but demands better device security and more complex UX. No model is perfect. The right choice depends on context, and design can soften many cons, starting with privacy by design principles we'll cover next. Here's a short checklist for trustworthy design. Use W3C verifiable credentials and DIDs. Default to selective disclosure. Enable offline verification. Offer non-smartphone alternatives. Perform independent security audits and publish retention limits. Provide equal quality opt-outs and human redress procedures. Log and limit law enforcement access with judicial oversight. These steps limit function creep and give people real choices. But standards alone don't ensure good outcomes. Governance and enforcement do, which brings us to the role of oversight. Independent oversight prevents supplier self-policing and hidden risks. Data protection authorities, public governance boards, and transparent incident reports create accountability. Mandatory audits and open-source components or escrowed code reduce vendor lock-in. Limit logs and anonymize telemetry. Require threat models and publish red team results. When oversight is visible and active, trust grows and abuse shrinks. But enforcement varies by country. And that variability shapes the user experience across borders. So what should individuals do to protect themselves now? You can act today to reduce personal risk. Choose wallets that store credentials locally and support selective disclosure. Lock your device with strong passcodes and enable hardware-backed biometrics. Use passkeys or hardware security keys where available. Share the minimum required attribute with services. Keep physical ID backups and insist on fallback processes. Monitor accounts and consider credit freezes if a provider is breached. These habits won't stop all systemic risks, but they make you a tougher target. And they matter if digital IDs become widespread. Policymakers and product leaders need concrete guardrails. Adopt global standards like W3C VC's DIDs and NIST identity guidance. Require data minimization, offline verification capability, published audits, sunset clauses, and non-digital alternatives. Enforce judicial oversight for law enforcement access, and mandate redress channels with strict service-level agreements. Avoid exclusive vendor contracts and require code escrow or open-source releases. These rules shape whether a digital ID becomes an empowering tool or a surveillance scaffold. Let's return to a big technical promise: selective disclosure and zero-knowledge proofs. These let you prove a fact, like age or residency, without revealing the underlying data. Imagine showing a bouncer a green light instead of your birth certificate. That reduces copies of your ID floating around. But implementing these proofs requires care, standards compliance, audited cryptography, and honest UX. If done poorly, users may accidentally overshare or rely on insecure apps. So how have real projects managed this tension in practice? India's Aadhaar shows both power and peril. It scaled identity for billions and enabled efficient benefit delivery. But scope creep and centralized usage spawned legal pushback and privacy reforms. Estonia shows another lesson. Strong cryptography and transparent incident responses build public trust. The EU's UD wallet tries to bake in selective disclosure and cross-border use, but oversight bodies pushed for tighter safeguards. Each case teaches one thing: implementation choices and legal limits shape outcomes more than slogans. Resilience means layered defenses and fallback options. Keep credential backups, enable offline verification, and provide paper or in-person alternatives for those without smartphones. Regular penetration testing, bug bounty programs, and rapid, transparent incident responses matter. Public communication after incidents builds trust. Design wallets to allow recoveries without exposing master secrets. When systems anticipate failure, they protect citizens and services alike. Next, let's look at how the future might converge technologies and change everyday life. Expect convergence between passkeys, device-based authentication, and verifiable credentials. Your phone could prove you control an account and that you're over 21 with a single tap. That simplifies life and reduces password risk. But it also concentrates trust in devices, so hardware security and secure enclaves are critical. If wallets adopt strong privacy features and standards, the experience can be seamless and safe. If they don't, we risk a unified cross-service tracking layer. Which future will win depends on choices we make now. A mid-video recap. Digital IDs are tools that can speed services and reduce fraud. The architecture, centralized, federated, or decentralized, decides who controls data. Privacy hinges on choices: data minimization, selective disclosure, local storage, and oversight. Risks include surveillance, single-point breaches, exclusion, and vendor lock-in. Now we'll close with practical action points for citizens and a short checklist for leaders to steer digital ID toward public benefit rather than control. Action steps for individuals. Pick privacy-first wallets. Lock your device. Use passkeys. Share the minimum. Maintain physical backups. And insist on fallback options. Monitor accounts and use credit freezes where appropriate. Ask service providers whether they support selective disclosure and offline verification. If a digital ID becomes mandatory, push for audits, redress, and alternatives. Small choices compound. Consumer demand for privacy-friendly options drives better design, and public pressure has changed policy before. Advice for policymakers and leaders. Mandate standards like W3C, VCDID, and NIST guidance. Enforce independent audits. Require non-digital alternatives. Limit retention, and publish governance and threat models. Avoid exclusive contracts and demand portability. Create clear redress paths and judicial oversight for any law enforcement access. These rules preserve choice, limit function creep, and make systems auditable. The choices you enshrine today will determine whether digital IDs empower citizens or consolidate surveillance for decades. The big takeaway: technology can preserve privacy, but it won't do so automatically. Standards, governance, and real alternatives decide outcomes. Push for designs that minimize data, enable selective disclosure, and keep control with users when possible. Demand audits, portability, and human redress. If you care about privacy and practical access, vote with your choices and your voice. In the final segment, we'll summarize the checklist you can use right now and how to hold systems accountable. Final thought: we're building infrastructure that will shape movement, commerce, and speech. Digital IDs can unlock opportunity and cut friction, or they can normalize surveillance and exclusion. The difference rests on design, law, and public pressure. Stay engaged. Ask for standards, independent audits, and true alternatives. Choose privacy-respecting wallets. Push policymakers for oversight. The future isn't written. Our decisions are the pen, and your choices matter in which future gets built. If you want to go deeper, bookmark the technical standards we mentioned: W3C verifiable credentials, DIDs, and NIST guidance. Read case studies from Estonia and India to see trade-offs in action. Join public consultations and review audit reports when available. Tech decisions affect rights, and informed communities steer better outcomes. In the next video, we could demo a privacy-first wallet and selective disclosure in action if you're interested. So let me know which demo you'd like to see. That wraps our guided tour of digital IDs. You now have a framework to spot good designs, protect yourself, and push for accountable systems. If you remember one thing: demand minimization and real alternatives. Technology can be an enabler, not an enforcer, when built with clear rules and public oversight. If you want a concise printable checklist or a policy template for advocacy groups, say the word. And now, one small favor before you go. If this helped, hit like and subscribe for more explainers. Comment which digital ID question you want answered next, and I'll make a deep dive video.